This is a Grande Pacific production. Okay, we've had a special request. Somebody wants to see in detail the R.J. Frost R.J. Frost ice and storage, or federal cold storage, or I don't know what they're calling it today, but they have redone this kit and used a different name. I'd like to tell you I cooked this kit bash up, but as just about everything in this hobby, somebody else already did this and I copied them. So anyway, this is just an example of what you can do with some of the Walthers kits. By the way, I'm going to show this one in detail, but this is the grocery distributor's kit right here. It's been cut in half. When I did this, this was called Miranda's Bananas. It's called the grocery distributor's kit. Now what I did here, and this is on a blog post on Model Railroad Hobbyist, I showed the construction. The building in the back is a model builder's building. It's a foam core building. I did all the sprayed the roof stuff on. That doesn't really work too good with the foam core. It comes apart, but we managed to make it work, and we called it Acme Produce. But all that was done with model builders. I'm going to tell you, it's been sitting here for a couple of years, and some of the spray adhesive, as you can see on that seam and on that seam, is not holding well. So gonna have to look at some other approach to doing that. Either didn't put enough, or over a period of time it's losing its grip. May have to try to maybe look at some other type of glue. Now, this is the federal cold storage building. Now when it gets finalized, and this isn't finalized, it will be raised up, because we do put high cube cars underneath here. If you look down the line in front of the Valley Canning, there's one there. To get to that industry, you have to move the cars in front of federal cold storage. So there has to be clearance underneath the awning for high cube. So my answer is, when we get into the final, this will probably be its home, but we'll build up the place. To fill in this space back here, I'll probably make another foam core building with something from Model Builders on it, just to fill in the space. But the way this sits right now, so we're going to move the building out so you can see it in detail, and we'll get back to you. So here we have the two pieces, and this is the back of the piece that was cut off the back side. I did this with a Zona saw, hand saw, just scored and marked it. Now that's a piece of styrene plastic. I spray painted it tan to match. That's actually, I think, Flowquill concrete gray, the concrete paint. Oh, aged concrete. I get my styrene from a previous, employer I retired from, and I won't mention names, but part of the thing we did was changed advertising headers and lighted signs, and they were made, the signs were made out of styrene. So when I left, I had an adequate supply for the rest of my lifetime for the backs of buildings. So that saves the expense. The roof material here is the Flowquill spray. Comes in a can for the you can get it in 4 different colors to make it look like it's a gravel roof. So and the rest of it was spray painted. I spray paint all my buildings. I don't care what they come out the box. I always spray paint them and make them another color. Spray paint all the parts first before you assemble the building. I'm sorry, I know Model Man Mike's going to watch this, and I've been promising him I'd put a building and show him how I do the edges. If I get paint on an edge, it has to be glued. I scrape it with an X-Acto knife. You cannot glue edges of plastic edges together that have paint on them, so don't even try. Model Man Mike was he likes to tape his off. Whatever works for you is fine, but you just don't try to glue edges that have got paint on them. It doesn't work. So this is one end of the building. Same thing here. We put a styrene back on the back of the building, made out of some of those advertising signs. The rest of the stuff is pretty much in a kit. So just cutting it off in the back and doubling it over makes a substantially longer building for cars. And the only thing that happens here is when you put the two together, if I put the building in the back, you're not going to be able to see the door there anyway, so I'll have to make an allowance for that. And I'm going to refer you to a video on my YouTube channel, the Tall Timbers in Santa Fe Railroad, in North and South Edna. I'm not sure, maybe it's South Edna, but anyway, in that section of the video you will see this same building done kit bashed, and there's all kind of kit bash buildings right in that section on that video. If you go on my channel and you look under layouts, it's one of the early layouts that I videoed. It's Jim Laughlin's Tall Timbers in Santa Fe, and he's got a whole bunch of kit bash buildings along the back wall of Edna. There's some really outstanding work what you can do to buildings. So anyway, that gives you a much bigger front to park cars at and so forth. The building probably needs, I did this one in the beginning and I wasn't weathering buildings back then, so this building also needs to be weathered. I will probably lightly put some weathering on it, just because nothing on a railroad shines. So hope this helps you, but again, it's going to have to come up. The building will have to be mounted. A platform, I'll build a base for it or something, just like I did on my stations. And it'll be up a 1/4 inch or so, just to make sure that the high cube cars can clear those canopies. Hope this gives you your answer. I'll also mention right here, Mr. Laughlin built this one for me. That building is kit bashed. That's the Valley canning plant, and it's basically cut in half. So you end up with double the space in front of it. This is another building, Walthers building, that was kit bashed. They're nice enough to give you the pieces right there. And they say in it you can put two kits together. And I said, well, that's great. I need those seam pieces to make the two pieces to go together. But my two pieces were the one bill, and I just, again, cut it in half. And the piece behind it is a foam core board with a model builder's facing on it. Now right here at Peak Paper Mill, this was a not a Walthers building, don't know who it was. The piece in the back is part of the Walthers building for the Superior paper mill, and that piece on the end is, but this warehouse section right here was somebody else's kit. They don't make them anymore, but it was double that depth, so I just cut it down, cut it in half, and put the two pieces together. Because, like I say in some of my other videos, I don't model but the part the train touches. That's like the wood chip plant right here. This is a model buildings foam core building that I created, and we unload the chip cars there, and then they're vacuum pumped chips over there behind the building, and that's where the wood pile chips, the chip pile is. It's back there behind the building, and if you go 6 inches past the end of that piece of red plastic, you'll be in the driveway outside the building. So again, I'm not going to waste space just to have a building. I'm only interested in them doors where they unload the cars. So same. Now these two, this kit is this is the cement company, of course. This happened to be Hoffa Cement Company, and I got to put the sign up here for the company motto: "We keep your feet in concrete." And this is the ADM grain elevator. There's actually right at the moment 3 of these on the layout. We have Cargill, ADM, and Co-op. So, and you see this one, and let's get to that point right here. This is one, Mr. Laughlin built this one, and this one's weathered, and it's one shade of concrete. This is another one of the grain elevators. It's, I think that paint's float wheel, I think it's antique white, something, anyway, maybe ivory, I'm not sure, but that's another one. And we reversed this kit right here because if you see, the grain unloading is on the wrong side if you know anything about this kit, and to do that you have to extend it to the front to when you flip it over, and the trucks are in the back, so we had room to put the trucks back there. I hadn't quite figured out how they're going to get out in the back and get around, but we'll make that work. Maybe we'll put a road across there. I don't know. This part has not been worked out, but anyway, that's another one of the ADM grain elevator. Now, this is the same grain elevator. Boy, but it grew up big. Now, the front part, you'll recognize all that. That's my paint job right there. I really get carried away. This is old dirty elevator. But everything past the first 4 tubes is 1.5 inch and 7/8. I did this one on my blog too, and show the construction of this. That's PVC pipe, and I built the shed up on the head shed on the top. So this is the big grain elevator up here at the top. So, and we have, of course, a yard for that grain elevator and the whole thing. We're trying to work on the refinery. This is this actual picture of this refinery is off of Louisiana 70, Donaldsonville. It's a Motiva plant in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Well, it's across the river from Donaldsonville on the other side of the Sunshine Bridge. But that's kind of what we're working at, to create the illusion that the refinery and storage and all that, so you kind of tie the tanks into the real thing. And then this is the loading docks and everything out here. I'm not going to build a refinery. It's not going to happen. Okay, there's the plastic pellets. We may enlarge that and put a couple of more tubes on it, but that's going to be down the road. Projects. So anyway, this is plastics, chemicals, and so forth. We're still in operation here, but we just have to play like it's all finished at this point. This is the Walthers ethanol plant here. There's one building missing. That's parts of it back in the back. I really didn't see any need for it, and gets to the point that it takes up space. Now, that's the steps and ladders that goes with the fermentation tanks. That's the last part I got to build and do it. Once I get it all built, I did weather the little office building that goes with it a little bit, put some weathering on it. Now, the rest of it hadn't been, and this, like I said, this whole section has been switched around a couple of times, moved in and out. Pretty much going to leave it like it is, but that's all the parts for ethanol. Now, you see they've all been painted. Most of them haven't been weathered yet, but they will be before we put them in their final resting place and put the roads in, ballast, and all that stuff. So that's the Walthers ethanol plant. We didn't do a whole lot of kit bashing on this one as far as that goes. Now, on this railroad, we handle, if you're going to have a railroad this size and you're going to have cars moving around, you already got all the cement hoppers. So you might as well have a couple of cement places. That gives the hoppers they go all over the place. We use JMRI operations, and they just go crazy all over the place. So when you got a couple of cement plants and so forth. But again, if you look at this one, it's different than the other one. It's different colors, different shades. Smokestack alongside does not go with the thing. It's just sitting there. This was a Walthers modular thing that I don't think they're doing it, or didn't really work real well. It took so many kits to get all the parts you needed to build it, but I got into it, so we finished one. So this one, you see the high cube car. This is another one that's going to have to be raised up because it's really not right now. You see it's kind of off from the track. I'll move the cars out the way. So it makes a real nice building, because you can make it narrow. Won't take up a whole lot of space. Atypical of an old warehouse building, particularly for auto parts. This standard building here, kit built. This is Continental Grain or any number of things. We call it Pillsbury, just a flour plant, but that's another one Mr. Laughlin built, and he weathered it. So Lee's Beverage, yeah, that one's got 15 reliable storage. You name it, we're called. We also copied this exact building layout and made a foam core building using the exact dimensions. Here's that building duplicated in foam core using model builders to create Kraft's Foods. We do all kind of good stuff. Now, I got kind of heavy-handed on this one. I think this is my first attempt to play with weathering one of these, but stole the forklift from somebody else. Amazing what you can do with that program. So anyway, water tanks got the spare part stuff on top. Again, that's the float quill spray stuff for the roof. Now all that was done on model builders. That's Golden Canning and Van Camp Milk. That's my ice cream plant. So all the extra roof detail stuff. So anyway, that's showing all. One more thing. This is the one of the engine buildings that Walthers makes. This is my steam service facility. I'm not going to have a turntable on this layout. In fact, when I got to this point, I had the Walthers 135-foot turntable. I had 3 engine stall buildings. I put it all on eBay and sold it. Got about $400 for all of it. It's just, a turntable is absolutely ludicrous as far as the space it takes up. It's almost as bad as this helix at the end of the room down here. We do not run steam during the operating session, so and believe me, I have sold a ton of steam engines. that at one time I had, and probably sell some more soon.